Hi, my name is Rick at Agentudi, and I want to show you real quick this example we built at AI Tinkerers in Miami on Wednesday, and I just thought it would be good to share on here because it's pretty cool. So email is one of the things that is kind of a superpower for agents. A lot of times we think of AI agents, we're like, oh, we do all these integrations, REST APIs, tool calls, MCPs. Oh, there's this legacy integration. We have to do all this work. And one of the cool things about email is that you can assign an email address and a phone number to an agent, and they can kind of operate like a digital worker where you don't have to do certain integrations. So, for example, we have a customer that has a legacy application that when something happens, it doesn't have any way to notify anybody other than email. So there's no webhook. There's not even an API for this type of thing. And we were looking through like, well, we could do SQL triggers and then hit this up, and then we have to send up this server and all this kind of stuff. And the idea was like, well, what if we just gave it an email address and then it could go do the work once the email happens? I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with email to modernize your application without doing a bunch of integrations, which is kind of cool. So anyway, I'm going to show you that example here. So I'm going to create a new project in Agentudi. And we're going to create that. I'm going to pick my demo organization. We have 3 runtimes, Bun, Node.js, Python. I'm going to pick Bun. And I'm just going to pick OpenAI because that one's easy enough. And we'll call this email example. Project is a grouping of agents. It's also a bit of an infrastructure piece too. You can hook it up to a GitHub repo, merge, and then it deploys automatically. So the AI Tinkerers demo was an approval agent where expense approval, you email the agent and it'll check to see if it's within policy and then approve it or not. So that's what we're going to build. It's a demo, so I don't need to protect it, but you can protect your agent through an API key. I'm not going to hook it up to our GitHub setup right now because it's a demo, but you can. And again, you merge the main, automatically deploys, which is pretty cool. So create that project. All right, we're done. And just ready to go. Let me go ahead and deploy it really quick. Here, let me just show you real quick the structure. So the structure is pretty simple. And then there's this really, really simple agent here. And the template that we picked was OpenAI. And it's just using the completions SDK with GPT-5 Mini. We'll change that to the new responses one here in a minute. And that's it. It just spits out whatever we send it and it'll answer it or whatever. So it's really simple. Let me just deploy this example so that we can look at what hooking up email looks like. And then we'll change the code. So we're going to run Agentudi deploy. There we go. And then if I open this, you see there's our project. We only created one agent right now. It's this email approval agent. And then if I click on it, we get some information about it. It automatically has a webhook. In this case, remember we made it public. We didn't say no. We said no API key. So I made it public, but I can actually hook up cron job API SMS, but I'm going to hook up the email. So we're going to say save. And now I just gave this agent an email. So now not only can I communicate with it via an API or a webhook in this case, I can now email it and then our code can handle that just the same. So that's as simple as it gets to hook it up. Now let's talk about how this works in the code because we haven't looked at that yet. So in this project, you'll see we had this, there's really only 2 conventions we care about. Agentudi YAML file. It's kind of like the infrastructure definition piece. Tells about the different agents and their, like the size of the box that it runs in, that needs, memory it needs and stuff. That's one. And then the other is the agents file. And again, we're cross-platform, we're cross-framework. And here you'll see this function handler, this is where the magic happens. So all of the infrastructure and routing and communication agent to agent or over the internet or webhook or the email address that we just hooked up all comes through this function. And again, if you did this in Python, it would be in a Python function, but it would look pretty much the same. And so from there, you can pull out things. Like in this case, you'll see we pulled out the text here, but we're going to pull out the email here in a second. We're going to check if it's an email and then pull that out. And then it just responds with whatever it came back with. Pretty simple. So why don't we do this? I'm going to take my demo from Tinkerers, copy that and paste it in here just to save some time. make this quick. There's a link to the repo up here if you want to grab it. All right. So this is what we did at AI Tinkerers. Pretty simple. So same thing. There's the function handler where everything comes through. And then what we're saying is, hey, if the content type of the request coming in is of type, this is RFC 822 is email, is what it is. If it's email, then we have this handler. Okay, let's get an email handler on it. And then you can get the subject, the text, you can get the attachments, the headers. There's a message ID that comes with it, so you can put it in thread so that when you reply, you don't lose things. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. So that's what that is. But then also we say, hey, if it's not that type, then we'll just assume it's text, and then we'll just pull out the text, and we can still use that with the agent. So that's that. And then this agent is really simple. Again, AI Tinkerers, you get like 10 minutes, or I actually think it's 5 minutes to demo something. So I did this on the train ride, but it's just really simple. Hey, we have an expense policy here, not to exceed 3,000, and the approved vendors are Acme and Agenttuity. I think in normal world, you would hook it up to tool calling, MCP, or ping your vendors, approved vendors database or whatever. And so then we're just saying, hey, you're an approval assistant agent, and here's the approved vendors, here's the expense policy. Let me know if it's approved or not. Really simple, right? Very simplistic. But if it's an email type, then we'll reply with, hey, this is approved or not. And then that's it. That's all you got to do. Pretty simple. And because we handle this with text, not just email, I can actually test it right now. Let's do this real quick. Let's do Agenttuity Dev. This is our dev mode or dev simulator. And then what we can do is I'll click this URL. And what this does is we have the simulator here. So I can say, I have an expense for Acme for $300. And then we'll click run. And you see while that's working, you'll see it, the agent locally received it. And then there you go. Approved. And then I can say, what if it was like $30,000? Let's try it again. So now it's working again. You can see it got another request. And then it's gonna denied. It exceeds the $3,000 policy. So that's great. So that's like on the text-based flow that we just looked at. I'll kill this real quick. The text-based flow, remember, we're getting it out of the text-based. But then again, if it's email, remember we hooked up the email, same thing. I just email it and it'll handle the same bit of code. And same thing, I run Agenttuity deploy, and then it's up, ready to go, and I can email the agent. So that's how easy it is to hook up an agent, handle it with the same code that you might handle some other approval process via, a REST API, webhook, or whatever. So hopefully you see how easy it is. Thanks.